Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. The series What If Transmigrated as Minato Namikaze is now on hold, since we're caught up with the author. Along with that, the series What If Fishing System and Food Wars World will be going on hold soon, since we're nearly caught up with the author there as well. So now, I need your help picking the next two projects for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if Transmigrated and taking over Ichigo's body? What if martial artist Reborn is Kenichi Shirahama? Please vote in the poll and let me know which stories you'd like to see next. I'll take the top two picks and start working on those series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 246, Halloween Party, Part 3. General POV. Haley locked the door behind her as she entered the lab. Tara, however, was confused as she saw the sight in front of her. Why did you bring me into an empty room? Tara muttered in confusion as she turned to Haley. The small room only had a metallic table in it, and there were brooms, mops, and cleaning solutions on the side of the room. Is this the utility closet? Tara asked Haley in surprise, but Haley ignored her and talked to Robin. Hi. Did Edward keep any alcohol in the house? Robin didn't show up, but instead she just replied to the speaker, which startled Tara and made her hide behind Haley's back. There isn't any more alcohol inside the house. How about Euphoria? Haley asked again worriedly. Robin replied, I'm sorry, but you don't have the clearance for me to answer the question. Clearance? Haley was shocked. Then, she became confused. What's that for? Tara rolled her eyes and explained, it means, you can't know the information because you aren't a high enough level. What's my level? Haley asked Robin back after understanding. Level 3, Robin replied. And what level do I need to have the answer? Haley asked again. Level 2. Haley contorted her face, isn't that smaller clearance? Tara rolled her eyes again and interjected, who has the level 2 clearance in the house? I'm sorry. I can't answer you, Robin replied. Because she doesn't have clearance? Haley asked. Yes, Robin replied. You ask it then, Tara urged Haley. Who has the clearance then? Haley asked. Inside the house, there's only one other person who has the level 2 clearance, Robin replied. Great. Who is it? Haley asked excitedly. Then, her face dropped to dissatisfaction after she heard the answer. She and Tara left the room, and Casey walked past them at the moment. He was shocked when he heard Tara mumble, I still thought that was a lab. Turns out it was a utility closet. A lot of people are around, so maybe Edward moved the lab, Haley replied. It seems like something he would do, she added casually. Casey hid behind a wall and talked to his intercom, we have a problem. Meanwhile, Agent Smith had been watching Casey's retreat, but did not intervene, letting the situation develop further. Keep an eye on the frozen yogurt vendor, and their vehicle too. Notify me when something is happening, he said to his team. Justin, Jake, Skylar Samuels, Bridget Mendler, Jennifer Stone, Brenda Song, Dylan and Cole Sprouse, Haley Kiyoko, Corbin Blue, and a few other child stars from Disney arrived all together to the party. So, they made me a pawn in their political game. Do they think that I'm the type to just sit here and let other people manipulate my fate? Edward mumbled with an annoyed tone as Robin whispered everything that was going on to him through a small communication device in his ear. What was that? Maggie asked as she couldn't catch what Edward had said. Nothing, Edward replied with a smile, acting as if nothing was happening in the background of the party. Despite the whole situation being like the Chinese idiom, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind Edward has allies he didn't know about. Jacob, who was dressed like Jason the Killer, was scouring the party with a sharp gaze behind his mask. His girlfriend, Elsa, who was dressed like a policeman, asked, "Are you sure that Edward said he has spies trying to sabotage him?" Alex heard it from her parents. "You know Alex, she won't joke about the matter. If there's anything strange, we will report it straight to the agent," Elsa said, her eyes narrowed in concern. Suddenly, Jacob saw Abraham getting hit on by the frozen yogurt vendor. "Something's weird," he muttered. "There's no way someone that attractive would try to talk to Abraham." Abraham gleefully replied to Sarah Walker, "Yeah, I can show you where the bathroom is. In fact, I know everything there is about the house. Edward and I are best friends, you see." Jacob growled, "I'm his best friend." Elsa placated him and glared at Sarah Walker. She must be a spy. She saw the weak link and went straight to him. "We caught one," Jacob muttered excitedly. "I'll tell Enid and Alex." Edward POV. As I went to greet the Disney kids, Corbin widened his eyes for a moment as he saw the ring ghost beside me. "Vanessa?" "It's been a while," he greeted her cheerfully. They knew each other from the High School Musical franchise as both were actors in them. "Oh my god, is that actually a muscle line on your Batman suit?" Brenda Song, the eccentric Asian girl, asked excitedly as her hands were rushing to my abs. However, Jennifer stopped her. "Calm yourself down. It's the first time you're meeting him." "Oh right. Sorry," Brenda Song retorted gleefully. I laughed and replied to her, "It is my actual muscle lines." "Nice catch. Nice body," she joked back. Skylar Samuels, the girl who played Gigi in Wizards of Waverly Place first season, was looking at me intensely. I turned to her and asked calmly, "What?" "Nothing, you're just really handsome, that's all," she said bashfully. I chuckled a bit and said, "Alright, I can't really stay and talk. I have a chocolate crisis to handle right now. Enjoy the party." "Chocolate crisis?" Maggie asked me as she followed me along. Vanessa quickly followed her too, despite Corbin still wanting to catch up with her. "Wait, I'm coming along." "We will talk later," she waved him goodbye, which in turn made him feel helpless. As she was walking by Maggie's side, I asked, "Why are you running away from him?" He was clearly being nice. None of you. Alright, it is your business." She changed her words midway as I glared at her. She explained, "It's just, I feel uncomfortable seeing him again. And if he brings up the leaked pictures, I will just kill myself." I nodded in understanding and said, "Alright. It's your decision. But you see how the young ones were looking at you. They were almost fanatical in their eyes. For them, you're like their mentor. The one who actually made it big. I think you can have more confidence in yourself." Vanessa scoffed and said self-deprecatingly, "They won't look up to me anymore if they know how ruined I am right now." "You're not ruined. You are just having a fresh start. That's all," Maggie comforted her. "Besides, Kim K and Paris Hilton leaked worse things, and their popularity is shooting up right now." I nodded in agreement with Maggie. Vanessa dropped her shoulder in disbelief. "That doesn't make me feel better." When she was feeling down, she suddenly received a text. What's wrong?" I asked her. "Well, it's Ashley Tisdale," she explained to me, as I didn't know the girl. "My co-star from before." Maggie asked, "Not the one who slept with your ex-boyfriend, right?" "No, that bitch is dead to me," Vanessa replied irritatedly. She continued, "She's a good friend of mine, was a good friend of mine. She stopped talking to me after the whole fiasco." "Why?" Maggie asked. Vanessa looked into our eyes and replied agitatedly, "Oh, it's not even their own decision. Their agency told them not to because they kept being asked about my photos during their interviews." "What does she want?" I asked. "To come to the party?" Vanessa asked in confusion. "Wait. A lot of people are texting me." She was surprised. She looked at me with glittering eyes and asked carefully, Can she come? I grinned and said, it's up to you. You can decide. Alex, Haley and Tara approached Alex, who was sitting together with Phineas. You have a level 2 clearance? Haley asked. Alex was confused. On what? On getting a drink. It's here somewhere, inside a hidden compartment, Tara explained. Huh? Can you guys speak from the beginning? I don't understand what you're trying to do, Alex said, still confused. Don't worry. I'll take over from here. I suddenly appeared behind Alex. Tara was startled and laughed awkwardly. I'm going to get a drink. I looked at Haley, who was looking at me with confusion. What? You shouldn't do that, I said sternly. She was a bit taken aback and asked, do what? You're the one who can't go on with that much food waste. I'm trying to help you fix it. Well, I appreciate that, but not by going into my lab. It's lucky that I had some contingency in place, but there are some people at the party who are vying for my stuff. Haley widened her eyes in shock, and before I could finish what I was going to say, she leaned in closer and grabbed my sleeves, whispering with horror, Are there criminals here? Shouldn't you tell that to the agent? Her eyes darted among the crowd as she tried to look for suspicious individuals. I stammered for a while before I patted her shoulder. You know what? Never mind. Just don't go doing stuff without telling me again, can you promise me that? Sure, Haley replied excitedly. Haley's commentary? Wait. I just realized that he was trying to scold me? She exclaimed with disbelief. Crossing her arms with dissatisfaction, she shook her legs as she said, How dare he? Suddenly, she bit her lower lip and said, And why do I find that so hot? Commentary ends. I walked past the froyo vendor and glanced at the blonde managing the stand. A lot of boys were congregating around the vendor, already charmed by the woman's appearance. Sarah Walker and John Casey? So, Chuckverse people are after me? I chuckled to myself in amusement. Doesn't that mean I'm the villain here? Well, if I was to be a villain in their story, I better play my part perfectly. That's the only way it should be. What are you thinking about? Why do you have a naughty look on your face? Haley mumbled, snapping me out of my thoughts. I shook my head and said, Nothing. As we reached the couch, I pressed gently on the backrest near the armrest. The whole compartment opened up, revealing a small bottle of euphoria, with intricate carvings of the name on the glass itself. Oh, Haley exclaimed in amazement. What's this exactly? She suddenly asked. I almost stumbled from the shock, but then I realized something. She didn't even know what the drink was. Hey, who did you hear about the drink from? From Max. I called her. I facepalmed in frustration before I sighed heavily. All right. Can you get me some melted chocolate? I'm going to my storeroom a bit to get some stevia, and see if that can help too. What's a stevia? Natural, no-calorie sweetener, I replied. Meet me back here in 5 minutes. Got it. However, as soon as we split, Kyle stopped me and asked, Hey, Ed. Would you rather eat ice cream with ketchup or banana with ketchup? I frowned and said, Both of them are bad. You have to pick one, Kyle urged. Banana? I answered. Hey, we have the same answer, he said before he high-fived me. Also, do you know where my girlfriend is? I can't find her? Sorry, I replied apologetically. Damn it. She's wandering off again, Kyle mumbled to himself. I snuck past him and went to the second floor, and walked to the room at the end of the corridor. After inserting the password on the keypad, I entered the room after making sure that no one was around, and returned with the stevia before the 5-minute mark passed. However, when Haley and I gathered together again, she was pouting and didn't want to look me in the eye. Huh? What's wrong now? I asked with a helpless tone. I just realized what you were trying to do before, Haley said. I chuckled with disbelief and took the melted chocolate from her. Alex approached us and said, you're conducting an experiment? Yeah. I'm trying to see if the taste can change, I replied. I'll join you, she said. Phineas also approached us and said excitedly, hey, my mom and dad saw my performance video on your Instagram post, and they extended my curfew until midnight. Awesome. I high-fived Phineas excitedly. After some time passed by, we finally got the result. So, chocolate and stevia, it's not great, but not bad either, Alex said. Haley continued, chocolate plus euphoria, it just tasted like alcohol. Yeah, that one is bad, I said with astonishment. It lost everything special about euphoria, making it an ordinary alcohol. Haley looked at me with disbelief, you kept saying it's great, but you never let me taste it. I'll do it in private. I don't want another Max incident, especially in the middle of the party, I replied. Alex suddenly has an idea, hey, how about adding the three of them at once? Standing in front of the chocolate fountain, I filled another cup of melted chocolate and then mixed some drops in it. After it was mixed together with the chocolate for a bit, I tasted the melted chocolate and exclaimed in wonder, it's freaking great. Thank God. Haley exclaimed. Alex chimed in, now, we just need to figure out how much solution will we need to fix the entire chocolate fountain. Oh wait, what are you doing? Lad the I suddenly turned to the crowd and shouted ceremoniously until I lost my breath, which shocked both Haley and Alex. All party-goers were attracted by my call and turned towards me. And gentlemen, I tried to tip my hat, but forgot I was no longer wearing the previous costume. Damn, I thought I was still Willy Wonka. The crowd chuckled at my joke, and I continued, just imagine that I'm still wearing my Wonka costume for a second. In my hand here is a stevia. It's made by the ancient people of Peru, who live in a utopia. They used it in every meal, and it's by far the greatest invention of their civilization. Barnes was astonished, really? I turned to him and said, of course not. I'm exaggerating. Oh. He exclaimed with disappointment. And now, with stevia in my right hand, and a little Edward magic in my left hand, I'm going to turn this barely edible fountain of chocolate into the greatest attraction in the party tonight. I said, which earned me some applause from the crowd. Of course, the greatest attraction is none other than me. They chuckled at my joke. I turned to the chocolate and started pouring the solutions into the fountain. Is it just me, or is that chocolate getting shinier by the second? Phineas muttered with disbelief. And the smell. Billy sniffed the smell intoxicatedly. What is that smell? Any volunteers to taste the magic first? I shouted to the crowd. A lot of people raised their arms out, and I decided to call David Henry. Come here. He jogged slightly towards me before saying, I tasted it before. So if it's still weird, I'm going to criticize you no matter how popular you are. I smirked and said, okay then. A deal. But if you tasted it, and it's the greatest thing you'd ever had, what shall we do then? Maybe, you can go to the stage and sing a song, with your shirts off? The crowd exclaimed at my provocative bet, and Henry felt trapped. Alex whispered to Haley, hey, is there any side effect to this thing? Why do I feel that Edward had gone unhinged? I don't know. Haley replied with frustration. All right. I'll take the bet. Henry said, which earned him some cheer from the crowd. Pick your poison. I said as I guided him to the assortment of food he could eat the chocolate with. He picked some crackers, and I handed him a cup of chocolate from the fountain. Here we go. I said to the crowd as Henry dipped the biscuit into the chocolate before tasting it. His eyes widened as he exclaimed, oh my God. It's fucking great. Really? Seriously? Murmurs were coming from the crowd of people who were still disbelieving what just happened. Come here and try it yourself. Oh God, I can't stop myself. Henry said as he gorged himself into the chocolate. One by one, people were rushing towards the chocolate fountain to taste the new concoction. I made way for the crowd and walked back to the girls with a permanent smile plastered on my face. Right then, I still haven't realized yet the effect of the new chocolate fountain. There must be some chemical reactions between the three solutions that turned it into something more. It pressed down a person's insecurities, making them the bravest version of themselves. Where's Edward? I want to kiss him, Skylar said with some chocolate stain on her lips. Brenda Song suddenly took off her shirt, only leaving her with her bra. I always want to do this. David Henry went to the microphone and started singing a song by Evanescence, Call Me When You're Sober. Haley stopped Tara from eating the chocolate. Hey! Put that down. Already on her third cup, Tara muttered energetically, Why should I put it down? Maybe you should put that pouty lip down? That sexy lip down, on my lip? What? Haley exclaimed with a high-pitched voice. Alex asked nervously, Haley, where's Edward? Haley widened her eyes and looked around, but she could no longer see where I was. Oh shit. She muttered before she started running to search for me. So, Sarah, you have such pretty eyes. I walked the pretty blonde Froyo girl upstairs to my bedroom. Sarah giggled and touched my chest. You have such beautiful eyes too. I chuckled and said, It must be fate for us to meet today. I don't know if my invention will help you so much. Yeah, I use the air fryer and fuzz remover all the time. Sarah giggled while gently pulling my hand before placing it on her waist. She closed herself to my body and gently whispered to my ear, I really love how smart you are. Really? Then, you want to see something cool? I muttered to her as I took out my laptop. Sarah grimaced as she saw my back turned against her. Sorry, Edward. Although I think you don't deserve this, it's my mission. She took out her tranquilizer dart, aiming it towards me. I suddenly spoke up, surprising her. I know. Mission always comes first, isn't that right? CIA agent Sarah Walker? Chuck, who was looking at everything through the camera on Sarah's clothes, suddenly shouted, Abort, Sarah! Abort! A red dart flew across the room and hit the agent directly in her neck. Sarah limped down weakly, and then lost consciousness. I grinned devilishly before I walked towards her, and pulled out the camera in her shirt. You have 5 minutes to come here before I eliminate both of them from this world, Mr. Chuck Bartowski. Oh, and don't think Agent John Casey can help you either. I walked to the toilet door and opened it slightly, revealing an unconscious Agent John Casey being tied up on top of a chair. Tick-tock, Chuck. I smiled before I destroyed the camera. General POV. Oh my god. We poked a hornet's nest. Chuck muttered incomprehensibly as he saw the monitor feed went out. Chapter 247. Halloween Party, Part 4. General POV. Agent Smith was curious about the chocolate that the kids were going crazy about, so he took some for himself and brought it back to his post. Whatcha doing? Enid suddenly appeared behind him. The veteran agent was startled and cursed, Jesus. Where did you come from? His entire body was jerked forward, and his hand went straight to the gun on his waist before he relaxed as he saw who she was. This is just for guests, Enid said as she grabbed the chocolate from the agent's hand casually. Besides, you have a job to do. There's 2 suspicious people at the party. Intrigued, Agent Smith asked, Really? You noticed them? Of course we noticed them. Everyone noticed them. So go do your job and let us party in peace. Enid complained before she left. Agent Smith scrutinized the teenager and mumbled to himself, astute observation and barely any presence. She would make a great spy. Alas, this is not on the job scope right now. Wait, where did she go? Enid disappeared amongst the crowd thanks to her tiny figure, which made Agent Smith even more impressed. Suddenly, a female agent walked towards him with a lollipop in her mouth. Boss, we have a problem. You're being serious right now, Paige? Agent Smith narrowed his eyes at the agent with disbelief after seeing her stuffing her mouth full of candies. It was the same FBI agent who met Edward before. Paige shrugged in response, which made Agent Smith sigh. He asked, What is it? Both of the spies disappeared. Paige replied casually. Smith widened his eyes and asked urgently, What about Edward? Paige was confused and said while pointing to the crowd, "He's dancing at the party?" Smith turned to Edward, who was dancing and being in his own world. He became confused, but he still asked Paige to come with him to find the other spies. Nearby the pool, Elsa turned to Jacob and asked, "Where did you go?" Jacob held his lips shut and then patted Elsa on the shoulder. "It's a secret among best friends." Elsa was baffled. "But I'm your girlfriend." "Girls are temporary. Brothers are forever." Jacob blurted out. Elsa raised her eyebrow at him and said threateningly, "Really?" Flashback. "Hey, aren't you the one who played Agent Mitchell in the Independence Day movie?" Edward turned and said to Casey after walking past him. "What a no. I'm not." Casey replied gruffly. "Are you sure? 'Cause I swear I've seen you in movies." Edward continued trying to figure it out, making Casey uncomfortable. He also asked him about why he suggested the Oompa Loompa throw Kem into the pool, which turned out to be him mumbling to himself, and the others heard about it. Casey grunted before saying, "I better go. Last question, last question." Edward chuckled as he acted friendly with Casey. He placed his hand around Casey's shoulder, much to the agent's dislike, and suddenly changed his demeanor. "Are you here by General Beckman's order?" Casey was startled and created a distance from Edward instantly, only to notice that he had been shot by 3 tranquilizer darts. This is something normal in the show. Casey became loopy, and he fell to the floor, unconscious. "Edward! There's some spies inside your house." Jacob was searching for Edward at the time, and saw the scene. "You hold his head, I'll hold his leg," Edward ordered Jacob before they picked up Agent Casey's body and dragged him into his bedroom. Jacob made a mistake and banged the agent's head on the doorframe. "Oof. Never mind. It's not your head," Edward joked. "Should I get some duct tapes?" Jacob asked as they placed Agent Casey on a chair. "No. He can break right through it," Edward replied. "We need chains." Jacob looked at Edward with disbelief. "Do you have chains? For Friday night?" "Yeah." Edward replied jokingly. "Keep this a secret, all right? I still need to catch the other one." "You got it, bro. Do you want my help with that?" "It's fine. Go enjoy the party." Edward shooed him away. Flashback ends. "Tell me," Elsa demanded. "No." Jacob stood his ground. "Tell me, or there will be no making out again until next year." Elsa gave an ultimatum. "I can wait 2 months." Jacob replied casually, which made Elsa roll her eyes. Their conversation was caught by a high school cheerleader dancing nearby. The blonde girl with the fake Valley Girl voice, the fried vocals, grabbed Jacob's hand and said, "I will make out with you if your girlfriend doesn't want to." "Bitch." Elsa grabbed the girl's hair immediately and pulled it hard, creating chaos on the party floor. "Girl fight. Take off your clothes," Abraham shouted excitedly as he cheered the girls on. In front of the house, Chuck, wearing his Buy More Nerd Herd uniform, staggered nervously as he walked to the front gate. The guard in front of the gate took one look at him before saying, "You can't get in without an invitation. Go stand with those guys." He pointed at the crowd of paparazzi, arrested drug dealers who tried to get into the party, and teenagers from different schools. "Wait. I did get an invitation. Edward asked me to get in there himself," Chuck replied nervously. "Dude, stop embarrassing yourself," the guard said mockingly. "I'm not. I'm really not making things up," Chuck said helplessly. The guard took another look at him and said, "All right then. Name?" "Chuck. Chuck Bartowski. It's Barto." "I get it," the guard said annoyedly. Then, he was surprised when Chuck's name and face were registered within the tablet he used to check on the guests. "Oh, sorry for the hassle. You just look much older than the others in there. It's like a dad wanted to party with the children." "I'm 26. Chuck replied helplessly, his face looking as if he wanted to cry. Still much older though. The guard replied casually. Chuck laughed dryly before entering the house. He was being careful as he entered, thinking that Edward had set up a trap for him. However, he soon heard Edward calling his name in a friendly manner, subverting his expectation. Standing at the frozen yogurt machine, Edward waved his hand. Chuck. Over here. What? Chuck exclaimed with puzzlement and disbelief. He walked towards Edward carefully, and Edward gave him a cup of frozen yogurt. Here. Take one. I'm sorry. I don't know how to react. 'Cause in that video, it seems like you're going to kill everyone I love, and now we're eating frozen yogurt together? Chuck asked with confusion. Edward rolled his eyes and said, if I didn't give you any type of sense of impending crisis, you wouldn't even dare to get inside. Chuck thought about it and replied, that's true, so, we're not in trouble? Oh, you are in trouble. I don't take it very well when I know there's people wanting to steal my stuff. Edward said casually as he poured some chocolate on top of his frozen yogurt. Want some? He offered it to Chuck. Chuck was speechless, but he forced a response, no. Too bad. Also, their trank will wear off in a half an hour, so we will talk about it later. Edward replied. Before that. Melody, can you come here? Melody was a blonde, Midwestern college girl who came together with Maggie. She has a light curl on her hair, a dark purple eyeshadow on her eyelid, and was wearing only a bikini. A wet bikini too, as she had just gotten out of the pool. Maggie walked together with Melody as they approached Edward. Edward looked confused and asked Maggie, who didn't realize it at first. He asked, why did you come too? Oh, right. By the way, do you really need to point that out? It won't kill you to let it go. Maggie complained, her face blushing with embarrassment. She grumbled and walked away. Melody greeted Edward cheerfully, what do you want, cutie? See here. This something crawled up on my head and dyed hairstyle? Edward pointed at Chuck's hair. Chuck was baffled, but Edward continued his barrage of insults. The rejected John Krasinski from The Office. I don't know if that's a wig or his true hair. Only my grandmother calls me handsome hair. Melody joined in, though I can't decide to be a creep or a nerd hair. You too? Chuck looked at Melody with disbelief. I get it. Can you stop talking about my hair now? Chuck pleaded nervously. So you want me to do something to his hair? Melody asked. Edward nodded, yeah, I just can't look at it anymore. And since you work part-time in a salon. Hey! Don't I have a say in this? Chuck asked Edward. Edward looked at him and said, do you want your friends back? Chuck's face fell flat, and Melody giggled before saying, yeah. I think I can do something about it. Great. I have the kit in my toilet. Edward replied. Chuck sighed, but he felt if he could talk to Melody alone, he might be able to save his haircut. But his hope and dreams were squashed when Edward suddenly turned to the crowd and said, hey everyone. Melody is going to give Chuck here a haircut and a makeover. She's the fairy godmother, and she will make sure Chuck gets to the balls before midnight. The crowd cheered in excitement, and Chuck really wanted to cry now. Edward looked at him and said, Melody knows what she's doing, I hope. She won't damage the intersect inside your head, so don't worry about it. The intersect was all of the CIA and NSA secrets that were uploaded into Chuck's brain by his spy friend, turning him into a living computer. It was destroying his brain slowly, but Chuck has no way of knowing about that yet. Chuck widened his eyes and was alarmed. You're after the intersect too? Edward rolled his eyes and said, why would I want that hot potato? I have enough trouble on my own. Chuck looked at Edward pitifully, can I not do it? Please? Sure, you can get out if you don't want to do it. Fine. Chuck exclaimed helplessly. Suddenly, Chuck had to sit down in the middle of the living room with Melody cutting his hair, while there was a crowd of teenagers encircling them, cheering Chuck on every time Melody made a cut. Ugly crying, Chuck begged Melody, Please be careful with my hair. Maggie was munching something as she watched the haircut. She muttered to Vanessa, I wonder what he did to piss Edward off. Piss off? I think he's helping him. His hairstyle before really creeps me out. Vanessa said within audible distance for Chuck. He sobbed a bit, but held back his tears. So Chuck, what do you do? Melody asked him, trying to create small talk while they were in session. Chuck replied awkwardly, I'm the head of the nerd herd in a Bymore at Burbank. Oh. Melody was visibly disappointed, and so was everyone else. Suddenly, Edward grabbed the microphone from David Henry, who was still karaokeing. He lies. Chuck is actually a spy. A pretty great one too. What? Agent Smith, the other agents around, and even Chuck was shocked to their core after hearing what Edward said. Edward continued to reveal some information. In his first mission, he stopped a bomb from exploding by downloading a virus into the laptop used for Countdown. Now, where did he get the virus from? That's a secret. But Abraham's laptop was destroyed because of the same virus too. Abraham thought for a bit before getting to a realization, so you have the same taste as I do. Edward. Please stop talking. I'm not a spy. Chuck said. Edward got the hint and said, guys. I made a mistake. Chuck is not a spy. Wink wink. Did he just say wink wink? Alex muttered with disbelief. The entire crowd laughed, and Chuck felt so pressured that he wanted to stand up, but Melody pushed him back down on the chair. She held the scissor right at his face and threatened, You're not going anyway until I finished my work. Got that, Mr. Spy? All of this mustn't be happening. This must all be a weird Halloween dream. A horror dream for Halloween. Yeah, that must be it. Chuck tried to brainwash himself. Agent Smith called his agents and said, Get that man out of the crowd. I wanted to see where this is going, but this is just pitiful. Edward suddenly said to the microphone again, Agent Smith, you guys must have seen him standing by the stairs, with his bald head and dark sunglasses. He's a spy too. And he let this spy in, and didn't do anything. So for that, Agent Smith, you guys are out of my house. I'm balding. Not bald. Agent Smith retorted. Paige asked nervously, What should we do, sir? It seemed that he's really angry at us. I'll talk to him and explain our side. Agent Smith said with some dilemma. However, before he could get close to Edward, Jacob and Enid stopped his path. Whoa, didn't you hear that Edward told you guys to get out? Jacob growled at the FBI agent. Yeah. Get out. Enid said before she led a chant, Get out. Get out. Get out. A few teenagers also joined in, and they circled the agents while chanting for them to get out. Shitted Paige tried to take out her gun, but Smith stopped him. Idiot. You want to make the problem bigger? Suddenly, the hostile situation paused abruptly because the crowd heard a song playing from the stage. Edward was standing on the stage alone, and he had an electric guitar with him. Sorry, Agent Smith. But I experienced a rare moment of freedom just this evening when I went trick-or-treating without you guys watching me. And guess what? I like that feeling. And I wanted more of them. So sayonara. Edward punched in a song number at the karaoke machine, and Robin assisted him with the song. My Chemical Romance, Teenagers.
They're gonna clean up your looks with all the lies in the books to make a citizen out of you.
As he was singing the popular song that was released a year ago, the crowd became increasingly excited, which spelled doom for the agents around. Edward pointed at the agent.
Because they sleep with a gun and keep an eye on you, son, so they can watch all the things you do.
Shit. Agent Smith cursed. He couldn't get past the teenagers' blockade, and was feeling helpless. Edward continued.
Because the drugs never work, they're gonna give you a gonna rip up your heads, your aspirations to shreds. Another cog in the machine.
As soon as the chorus started, the teenagers began to push the agents out of the house. Waita Smith tried to explain, but no one wanted to listen. Edward ignored everything that was happening and sang,
They said I'm teenagers scared the living shit out of me. They could care less as long as someone will bleed. So dark in your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe it'll leave you alone, but not me.
The crowd cheered thunderously after the chorus. Chuck tried to get away again, but this time, there were more than 10 hands pushing him down on the chair. Edward continued singing, The
boys and girls in the clique, the awful names at the stick. You're never gonna fit in much, kid.
At the pool, a skinny boy who was always picked on at school, suddenly took off his shirt, revealing his bony body, and jumped into the pool while everyone cheered.
But if you're troubled and hurt, what you got under your shirt will make them pay for the things that they did.
Boobs? Billy asked in confusion. Alex was confused too, so she turned to Phineas. However, he was also confused. Jenna saw everything and sighed helplessly. Guns maybe? The song's about school pressure, so maybe it was mentioning school shootings by troubled kids. The trio looked at Jenna with shock. Phineas asked, Wait. You are smart? Jenna was furious and smacked him at the back of his head. Edward continued as the party became more heated.
They said I'm teenagers scared the living shit out of me. They could care less as long as someone will bleed. So dark in your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe it'll leave you alone, but not me. Oh, yeah.
He kneeled on the floor as he did the guitar solo himself. While the guitar was rocking the entire party, the agents were finally being ushered out of the house. Kyle finally met his girlfriend, and asked her confrontingly. You keep disappearing during a party. Are you cheating on me? His girlfriend, however, shook her head and took out some blunt from her inner pocket. No. I just went ahead to smoke this.
So dark in your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe they'll leave you alone, but not me.
Edward shouted to the crowd, all together now, as they repeated the chorus. Everyone sang together.
All together now, teenagers scared the living shit out of me. They could care less as long as someone will bleed.
The student council president, Amanda Cho, and another couple of girls rushed the stage and danced seductively beside Edward as he performed.
So dark in your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe it'll leave you alone, but not me.
Edward screamed horrifyingly with extreme vocals before flopping to the ground.
Teenagers scared the living shit out of me. They can care less as long as someone will bleed.
Skylar Samuel rushed the stage and kissed Edward on the lip.
So dark in your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe they'll leave you alone, but not me.
The crowd cheered, and everyone rushed the stage before picking Edward up to the air. Suddenly, Edward was crowd surfing to the other half of the living room. And he stopped right in front of Chuck. He scrutinized Chuck's hair, but Melody got irritated and told him, It's not finished yet. Go play elsewhere. Great. I'll trust you. And everyone. Keep an eye on Chuck, okay? So he won't try to do anything stupid. Edward smiled innocently, which seemed like a devilish smile to Chuck, and walked away. Sir, you might want to check your phone. Robin suddenly notified Edward. Edward took out his phone from his Batman utility belt and widened his eyes as he read what's on the screen. Robin, keep an eye on Chuck. He then jumped off the couch and ran to the second floor, and entered a bedroom that was next to his own room. Inside the dark room, Haley was lying down seductively on the bed.
Hello, Batman. I've been expecting you,
she whispered before she beckoned him to come near with her finger.
Chapter 248, Halloween Party, Part 5. General POV.
Almost everyone inside the party had tasted the enchanted chocolate. Mayhem was brewing inside the party where people blurted out their true feelings almost unfiltered, breaking some relationships, and even starting some of them.
I don't even like you. But I want a girlfriend, and you're the only girl willing to do that.
A douche high schooler confessed to his girlfriend of 2 years. She gasped shockingly and slapped him hard, making him stumble a few steps, and the crowd laughed at him.
Fine. I only dated you because I like your dad anyway.
Now that you're no longer my boyfriend, I'm going to fuck him, she declared before walking away. A few meters away from them, a high school nerd with some freckles on his face walked towards one of the most popular girls in school, and kissed him.
I love you, Amanda. Can we go out? He confessed.
The blonde Amanda was confused and she took a closer look at him before saying, okay.
I can make you my boyfriend for a while.
The effect of the chocolate made the girls stop playing relationship games, which was a miraculous chance for the boys to hear exactly what they were thinking. However, no one actually managed to take advantage of the effect. Chuck, who was finally done with his haircut, checked out his reflection in the mirror and praised Melody. You actually make it better.
Anything else other than your style before is better, Melody retorted. Now you finally look dateable. Thanks. But I already have a girlfriend,
Chuck replied with a chuckle. I just need to figure out how to save her next. Near the pool, Corbin was talking to Vanessa.
I know it's been a while, but I have to know the answer. Why don't you want to date me? He asked with desperation in his voice.
Vanessa paused briefly, licked the chocolate on her finger, and said, because you're black. She choked on a biscuit and had to stop talking. Maggie and the other celebrities were wide-eyed as they heard her sentence.
ING out, blacking out, every time you go to a party. You just drank too much, Vanessa continued after her throat cleared up.
The others around her breathed in relief, and Corbin finally got the answer he wanted to know about for years. Maggie turned away and was going to meet her friends, but Vanessa ran after her.
Hey, stop leaving me alone,
she complained to Maggie.
Confused, Maggie said, I'm not leaving you alone. Your friends are here. Talk to them. Vanessa suddenly grabbed Maggie's arm and stuck close to her. No. They aren't my friends. They are just my acquaintances. So don't leave me around. My only friend is you. Ashley Tisdale appeared from behind the duo and muttered, well, that's disappointing to hear. Vanessa rolled her eyes and said, can you blame me?
Ashley Tisdale, despite looking apologetic, didn't argue and just rushed towards Vanessa to give her a hug. Near the couch, Enid was gorging herself with the chocolates. Alex and Phineas were feeding each other, and Jenna scowled in disgust every time they did that.
To make matters worse, Elsa and Jacob were also doing the same thing. Ugh. Jenna grunted. Despite everyone's praises of the chocolate, she didn't try any of it because she felt weirded out by their behavior afterward. You ain't no nun woman, Elsa retorted to Jenna.
With her back against his friend, Enid suddenly stood up and said, hey.
I don't like it. What?
Alex turned to her, making her miss Phineas' mouth, and accidentally smudged the chocolate on his face.
Him. Enid replied. Him who? Alex asked again in confusion. Him. Enid shouted.
Inside the bedroom, Edward and Haley were sitting on the bed, locking their lips together. Haley caressed her hand around Edward's chest and said, I'm glad you got my message.
Me too, Edward replied. They didn't even stop kissing to speak. And slowly, the atmosphere becomes more heated.
Haley ran her hand around Edward's hair, and he moved slowly to her neck.
Suddenly, she said, it's great this is happening today. This party is the perfect setting for it. Edward was confused and he pulled back. Setting? Yeah.
Haley approached Edward and kissed his lips while saying, I have a plan of doing it with my boyfriend, maybe on a special day, on our anniversary, my birthday, or his, or maybe when I'm ready, but I think that if I don't do this with you today, then, you won't look at me ever again. They spoke with a rapid-fire, unfiltered cadence, blurting out everything they were thinking without any inhibition or restraint. Edward stopped, straightened his back and looked her in the eye. Why do you think that? He asked bewilderedly. Haley adjusted her sitting posture to her knees in order to continue kissing him. We can talk, but don't stop. Oh. All right. Edward nodded casually. While they were tonguing, Haley answered, because it's been forever, and you don't want to ask me out. And you also stopped flirting with me recently. I thought you don't want me anymore. So you resorted to dressing up like this and planned on giving me your virginity today? Edward asked with a slight joking tone. To his surprise, Haley replied, yes. I hate it. I hate that I have to wear this to catch your eyes. If you don't realize it, the majority of the people in the party are women. I'm afraid that you will hook up with them. So I need to get you first. Edward was taken aback, and he tried to say something. She suddenly stopped kissing him and looked at him intensely. Why aren't you asking me out? Edward paused briefly, and Haley suddenly resumed the kissing out of nowhere. No. Don't answer. But I want to answer. Edward tried to stop her, but she continued her kissing attack intensely. I don't want to hear it, she said, closing her eyes as she hung onto Edward's lip. Edward removed her carefully and said, I do want to ask you out. Haley was stunned. Really? She grabbed Edward's head and kissed him all over his face. Yeah. Before I found out that I was cursed. Edward confessed as he kissed her back. Haley furrowed her eyebrow and asked with confusion, You're the one who has the 3-month curse? Yeah. Edward replied casually. I thought about it a lot, but I don't want to hurt you, and I also don't want to be the guy in season 1. Who's the guy in season 1? Haley asked. The chocolate didn't have any effect of accepting everything that was said to the eater. However, Haley had always believed that Edward was a genius, and knew what he was talking about. You know, Edward hesitated a bit, sanity seemed to be returning to his mind. But it wasn't returning fast enough. I don't want to be your first boyfriend, that has to break up with you later in the future for you, to discover yourself, and also for your character development and all. Why do you think that would happen to me? Haley asked again. It's your setting in the story. Edward replied. And I don't want to be the one pining over you all over the seasons, only for you to be with someone else. She stopped kissing him and flopped down on the bed. She looked at Edward with some tears in her eyes. Wait. If that's my setting, and you're the guy who can't date for 3 months, doesn't that mean we're going to lose each other no matter what if we start dating? Suddenly, the passionate atmosphere in the room disappeared. Only silence remains. I think so. That's why I don't want to ask you out. I don't want that to happen. Edward replied while holding her hand, trying to comfort her after a while. Blam! The door to the room was kicked open, startling both of them. Edward POV. Wait a minute. What the fuck did I just say to her? The thought raced through my mind, horrifying me. My eyes darted between Haley and the group of people who had just walked into the room, and Jenna, Jacob, Alex, Phineas, Billy, Elsa, and Tara had come to find the both of us. Enid darted to the bed and gave me a forceful hug, her body shaking with sobs. I don't like it. If you go to college, then you'll meet new friends, and you will forget me, she cried. What? When did I want to go to college? I asked with some surprise. Haley tried to move away, but I quickly grabbed her hand. Startled, she looked at me with disbelief. I gave her a meaningful look and said, Please wait. I still need to talk to you. My mind was still reeling, trying to process the conversation that had just unfolded. What could have possibly caused me to act that way? Revealing Chuck's identity, knocking out Sarah and Casey, throwing the agents away from my house. As I thought back hard, I recalled that everything seemed to start when I had eaten that melted chocolate mixed with euphoria and other compounds. It seemed my enhanced digestive system made the effect weakened, but I still need to get a sample of the chocolate to see what it was made of exactly. Enid's plaintive cry pulled me out of my deep thoughts. I heard it from Jenna's mom. They are offering you a full scholarship for you to go to Caltech, she said. Hey, are you okay? Tara asked Haley whisperingly. Why did you guys enter the room? Haley asked her with a slight confusion, and also a bit of relief. Tara said, my mom is coming to pick me up and Enid. Alex added, Mom is also coming to pick us up. So I want to give you a heads up. Phineas said, our parents too, so we are coming here to say goodbye. Jenna said, well, my mom doesn't care if I want to stay longer cause she trusts Ed, but Elsa's mom has been calling her for a while. So I have to go send her back. We're leaving too. You all are leaving? I asked with some surprise, mixed with some helplessness. Not me. I'm telling my mom I need to stay. Jacob said. She'll understand that I'm looking out for my bro. He added. Well, his intentions were great, but when his mother came to pick him up, she dragged him back while pulling his ear, so he didn't have any choice in the matter. I turned to Enid who was still sobbing, all right? Stop crying. I'm not going to college. Were they crazy into thinking I would actually go to Caltech right now? If there was anything I had figured out from my experiences today, it was that I would rather be living my teenage years like a normal boy with them instead of becoming a token boy in prestigious colleges. After all, I was already a teenager with a billion-dollar company, a record label, an AI, a few research grants from the government and big companies, and maybe even a studio. But despite all that, I was still, at heart, just a normal teenager. Wow, even I couldn't believe what I'm thinking. You're not? Alex asked with disbelief. Why? You don't have anything else you need to learn in school. You're just wasting time at this point. You need to go to college to fulfill your true potential. Stop nagging Alex. Phineas said complainingly. Sometimes you can go on and on and on. He added with a mocking tone. Alex raised her eyebrow and looked at Phineas. Oh, so you hate that about me? Phineas paused briefly and replied, I kinda like it. But I want you to only nag me. Am I weird like this? Ah. Tara and Enid exclaimed sweetly. I looked at Enid who changed her mood quickly with a look of suspicion. She suddenly turned to me and said, so, you're not going? I sighed and said, I'm not. Especially not now. I don't want them to have any claims to my invention. Do you know that if you're a student or faculty member of a college, they can claim a certain percentage of your invention? Also, I'm very busy with my work right now. I may wait 2 or 3 more years before I go to college. In the meantime, I will just study by myself. I explained. Really? Jenna's eyes lit up. So you're not leaving? You guys know that Caltech is like 20 minutes from here, right? I asked jokingly, but was surprised by their reaction. They really didn't know about it. I thought it was in another state. Phineas commented. I thought you had to catch a flight. Billy added. Enid complained, I know it's here, but I also know girls at college are so slutty. Like the ones inside the party right now. They just walk around in a bikini. I'm sure they'll try to sleep with you every day. Haley's eyes shook a bit, and I caught that. I turned to my group of friends and asked them, by the way, get lost. The group was confused, and I added, I'm here alone with a girl. Don't you guys get it yet? It's Haley. Jacob muttered. You guys are our friends too. Not at the moment, so can you wait outside till I'm finished? I said to them with some disbelief in my tone. They were confused, but Jenna understood it. She blushed and grabbed Enid's hand before dragging her off me. We're leaving. Why? Enid asked whiningly. Jenna hesitated and whispered to Enid. She widened her eyes and exclaimed loudly, you guys are hooking up? Well, not anymore.
I muttered with exasperation. Maybe not ever. Haley added, shocking everyone in the room. After throwing out everyone else from the room, Haley and I had a small talk before we got out together. Her mother was already in front of the house, so I was going to walk with her. At the main party in the living room, the crowd suddenly cheered, which made Haley and I curious. Suddenly, we widened our eyes as we saw Selena and Taylor entering the party. Selena was wearing a Lara Croft costume, while Taylor was wearing a cheerleader costume, with pom-pom in her hands. Taylor widened her eyes as she saw me and Haley, but she didn't approach us and pretended to talk with the others in the party. Oh, it seems that your night won't be a total waste after all. Haley muttered with some slight self-deprecating tone. I don't even know that she'll be here. I replied to her before grabbing Haley's hand in front of everyone. Selena turned agape, and Taylor's face froze. I walked with Haley to the car while everyone was staring at us, and said goodbye to her and Alex. Claire asked as she peeked her face outside of the window, "What's wrong with you guys? Why are your faces so aghast?" "Nothing. We just have a soul-searching conversation, so we're mentally exhausted right now." I replied to her before I turned to Haley. "Mom, can you give us a moment?" Haley suddenly said to Claire. "Wah! It's important." Haley looked at Claire seriously. Claire was taken aback and sighed while rolling her windows up. "Don't be long." Haley looked me in the eye as she contemplated for a while. A sense of guilt was pricking her heart for what she was about to do. "Edward," she called out my name, but I interrupted her. "You don't want me to come around you, or your family, right?" Her eyes shook and she lowered her gaze. I grabbed her shoulders and said, "Don't worry about it. I understand." "That's weird. Don't be so understanding. You're a weird dude." She complained at me before she gave me a hug. She sniffled as she said, "I just need some time to process all of this." "That's why I said I understand," I replied as I returned the hug to her. Then, she left the party with Alex. All of my friends returned home one by one, leaving me alone with strangers and my cousin. Almost everyone from my high school had gone home not willingly, but was called back by their parents as it was almost midnight. After they were gone, you'd expect the party to die down, and everyone went home, right? However, the number of people who were at the party stayed the same. Edward. Astrid, the model I met before in the fashion show, came with her friends. They gave me a hug and asked, "There's no booze in the party?" "Now that the kids are gone, I think I can get some of them," I replied to them, prompting them to cheer. "But you're going to need to show your ID to the bartender," I added, causing the not legal yet to drink party-goers to exclaim in disappointment. "In fact, let me get you your bartender now," I said before I pointed at Chuck, who was waiting patiently at the yogurt machine, taking over his girlfriend's job as he waited. He brightened up and quickly followed me along to my bedroom, leaving some distance between him and me as he did. It made me realize that he had some experience in spy works, which made sense considering that it had been 2 years since he was forced into this life. As we got into my room, I turned to look at Casey and Sarah, who were being tied up on a chair with steel chains, and my face suddenly turned villainous. "Are you guys going to keep pretending to be unconscious?" I asked them before throwing some pencils I had nearby to their heads. Chuck was startled, but then he saw Casey and Sarah expertly dodging the attack by moving their heads slightly, making the pencils lose their momentum and hit the floor. "Good. We can finally talk about your sins now," I said menacingly. "And considering that I am in a pretty bad mood, you can expect no mercy from me at the moment." General POV. A few minutes after Sarah regained her consciousness, she realized that she was chained to the chair. "Finally," Casey muttered with gritted teeth as he tried to move himself from the chair. "Can you pick the locks?" he asked. "No, it's too far away from my hand." Sarah tried to get to the keyhole of the lock, but to no avail. "So, the mission failed," Casey muttered. "Apparently so," Sarah replied. "What's our strategy?" he asked. "Denial," Sarah replied. They waited patiently without talking much until Edward came to the room. Edward sat down by the edge of the bed and asked Chuck to stand nearby the agents. Hi. We have a big problem. Chuck whispered to them. Casey looked at him with disbelief and said, You think? No. I meant. Bigger. Chuck said. Bigger than this? Sarah showed her chains. He told everyone here I was a spy. Imagine what he'll do to you guys. Chuck said, staring the both of them. Wait. Did you get a haircut? Sarah asked with some surprise. Chuck brightened up and touched his head. Thank you for noticing. Keep the lovey-dovey conversation after we get out of this, can you? Casey muttered with disbelief. So? Are you guys done catching up? Edward interrupted them. Chapter 249, Halloween Party, Part 6. Edward POV. The deafening silence hung heavy in the air as the spies and I locked eyes in a tense staring contest. So, silence is your strategy? I asked them mockingly. I pondered the various villainous roles I could play in their story today. Perhaps a Joker-like figure, trying to break them down psychologically and disregarding the rules. Or a Bond-esque villain, intelligent, yet just the right amount of cockiness that would eventually lead to his downfall. Or maybe someone like Thanos, burdened by a greater purpose. The stillness was finally broken when Chuck spoke up. What are you going to do to us? After our interaction before, Chuck didn't think I was a villain. He just thought that I was a pissed-off teenage kid. Other than letting us go? He doesn't have any other option. Otherwise, he'll need to kill us, or let the agents outside deal with us. Casey interjected, trying to struggle out of the chain. In that brief moment of Casey's interruption, I came to a realization. I was never the villain in this story, I was the victim. And nothing would be more devastating to these people who thought they were protecting the country than a kind, sympathetic victim. A victim that doesn't deserve what was coming for him. And also, I was too exhausted mentally to actually play the role of a villain, which was a first for me. Trying to take the upper hand, are we? I smirked at him. You've got guts, at least. Can you even try to pick the lock? Do you even know how it works? Chuck glanced at the lock and muttered, Wait. There's no keyhole. But that's something only I know about. I chuckled. The agents were surprised, but Casey was still rebellious. I'm sure it's simpler than we think. Considering you can only take out people by using dirty tricks. I chuckled at his words and retorted mockingly, Isn't that what you always do? That's like your entire job. Sarah shot a glare at Casey for a moment before turning her attention to me. Mr. Newgate. I understand you're angry, but we're just following orders. Oh no, I get that, I cut her off. That's the only reason I haven't thrown you to the sharks outside. I'm a very understanding man in this regard. So you'll let us go, Chuck tried to talk, but I interrupted him. Want to know why you were being sent here? I posed the question to them in a casual manner as I took out my laptop. We already know, Sarah tried to interject, but I stopped her with my finger and said, The true reason you were being sent here? The agents were silent, knowing that the question I posed was quite dangerous to their situation, and also their job. I let out a low chuckle. Allow me to enlighten you, I said, stepping forward. As you know, your mission is to steal my blueprints for the new communication technology, a revolutionary advancement that could change the entire industry. I pulled out the diagram and held it up for them to see. I wasn't stupid enough to show them any major information, just the gist of it. Wait. Before you continue. Chuck interrupted my presentation. The other two agents and I looked at him weirdly. Chuck let out a dry cough and said, Sorry. It's just, you know my identity, so will it interfere with your consideration for the beta tester for the League of Legends game? 'Cause I got till the interview. You can say goodbye to that. I interjected him, causing him to exclaim with disappointment.
I continued, ignoring Chuck. I've already arranged cooperation with the Department of Defense. In fact, we're going to sign the agreement tomorrow. So tell me, Major Casey, why did they send you here to steal it from me? Is my price really so high? Casey remained silent, his jaw clenched. Chuck tentatively spoke up. Is it not a fair price? On the contrary, I said, shaking my head with an exaggerated look of betrayal. My price is quite reasonable, cheaper than what others would demand, in fact. Sarah's brow furrowed. Then, is this a test? Did they send us to see if we could handle it ourselves? Nope, I replied, popping the pea. They already know my capabilities. But there's another option you haven't guessed yet, haven't you? The agents fell silent, expressions tense as they considered my words. Finally, Chuck spoke up, his voice wavering. They sent us here on purpose? As leverage. Sarah finished his sentence. I ain't know nothing about the leverage part, but they did send you here on one purpose. I added on, continuing as they ruminated on their tumultuous thoughts. Being an agent, they precisely knew what the department was capable of. So the more vague I was, the more they would suffer. I broke their thoughts after a while. There is one thing I do know of. As they looked at me again, I said, there's a political war going on within the government. It has something to do with the president and the warring faction, so we were implicated by it. And that is okay with you? Sarah asked nudgingly. Well, I don't want to be someone's chess piece. I'm not an obedient person like you guys. Especially Chuck, who is working for the government even when they are killing him. Killing him, Sarah's eyes shook, however Chuck didn't understand me. It's a complex game of politics and ambition. I shrugged. Money is certainly a factor as well. As long as there's trouble tonight, they can push the agreement back and negotiate more background deals before getting to the signing process. You're the easiest piece they can use, so they send you. You won't get into trouble anyway. I'm sure they are already preparing for your extraction. And you calculated this yourself? Casey asked, his stoic face has a hint of admiration. Well, I guessed it would happen like that. But I'm guessing they also wanted you to succeed in stealing the tech. That way, they can just do to me the thing they did to Chuck's dad. Just wipe me out of existence. I replied casually. Chuck was startled. You know my dad? I nodded. I know him. I met him on the web before. He's a great guy. Did you know he invented touch-screen technology? You should have grown up a multi-millionaire, Chuck. Too bad his inventions were stolen. Isn't that ironic? You're trying to do to me the same thing that Ted Rourke did to your father. Chuck lowered his gaze guiltily. Casey and Sarah were silent for a while before Sarah asked, What do you mean the government is killing Chuck? Are you referring to the fact that we brought a civilian with us to a mission? Oh, that. I'm actually talking about the intersect in his head. I said as I pointed at my noggin. You don't think that forcefully inserting memories in the flashes Chuck has is good for his brain, do you? With every flash, a surge of electrical energy would be generated inside his brain, deteriorating it. This is just my estimate, but Chuck has only a year left before he would become deranged. What? Chuck exclaimed with disbelief. Are you serious? Do I look like I'm lying? I smiled softly at him. Too bad. I kinda like you too. I'll attend your funeral later. Anyway, back to the original topic. What should I do with you guys? I looked at them with a slight head tilt. My hand was propping up my chin. My eyes suddenly lit up and said, So, how about this? I'll let you guys go, and in return, will each of you do me one small favor? Just like that? Chuck asked with shock. I think having your hair cut in front of a group of teenagers is punishment enough already. I said with a chuckle. Sarah turned to Chuck and muttered, That's what happened to you? Casey and Sarah glanced at each other as they considered my offer. Seeing them still hesitant, I said, Because I know you guys can't give up on the mission just like that, let me make this simple for you. I pressed delete on the schematics and all the relevant data I have on the new project, shocking all three of them.
They can't ask you to retrieve something that isn't there, right?
I smiled softly. Besides, after this, there won't be any contract with the government anymore.
What do you mean?
Casey asked sternly. I shrugged and said, do you really think I'll still cooperate with them after they tried this shit?
It's not like I don't have any other options.
The moment they decided to pull this type of crap, I had already terminated all of my intentions to cooperate with them.
I guess that's why I threw out Agent Smith before.
Well, with the Saltzman Consortium as my backing, I could still enter the market, albeit the progress would be a little bit slower. Not to mention I had one foot inside Microsoft's management circle with my AI research, so you see, my options weren't limited to one.
Wait. Sarah asked with a face full of shock, you're canceling the cooperation?
Yes. I replied casually. Being someone's chess piece is such a shitty feeling.
So I'm pulling the board from under them. Let them fight on their own. I added.
But you guys don't have to worry about that. You're low-level foot soldiers.
I won't hold anything against you.
Rather than worrying about this, you should worry about how you're getting out of here.
I smirked, the entire house is surrounded, and there's no way the agents outside are letting you go.
The agents looked at each other before Sarah spoke up. What kind of favor do you want us to do?
General POV.
Selena glanced at Taylor, who was in a bad mood. Hesitating inwardly, she couldn't help but ask, so, you saw that?
They were just hooking up.
Nothing more. It's not like there's a rule that says you can't hook up with your friend. Taylor's eyes were glaring at Selena intensely. But they were holding hands.
Taylor shut Selena up by pushing some chocolates into her mouth.
She saw the slight messed up hair of Edward and Haley as they got out of the room. Unless she was an idiot, it was easy to surmise what happened inside there. Her mood worsened as it has been a while since she came to the party, but Edward, her ex, didn't even come to talk to her. Constantly glancing at the stairs, Taylor didn't even realize that she had finished almost an entire plate of fruit. Thinking that it would be desperate of her to go and find him herself, she had to pass the agonizing minutes by distracting herself with food and drinks. However, she didn't touch any of the chocolates as she wanted to look the best she could in front of Edward.
He came back.
Selena whispered excitedly to Taylor as she saw Edward walking down the stairs.
Taylor and Selena widened their eyes as they saw the sight.
Agent Casey was wearing a tight-fitting Superman outfit, Sarah wore the Wonder Woman outfit, Chuck wore Shazam outfit, and Edward had already taken off his costume as it was after midnight. None of the spies could easily get out of people's eyes, not making their job to disappear from the party even harder.
Oh my god.
You guys are awesome.
Smile. An Oompa Loompa staff member took the trio's pictures before they could even react, and then disappeared among the crowd. Damn it.
Casey muttered with dissatisfaction. I knew we shouldn't take the deal. I'd rather die with honor than sell my dignity like this. Hey.
Edward walked slowly to the girls and greeted them.
Taylor smiled as Edward looked at her, and before she could open her mouth, she fell in disbelief as Edward was blatantly checking out Selena's body. What the fuck? She mumbled to herself, intense anger broiled up inside her.
Edward POV.
As we walked to the party, I glanced at Chuck and chuckled. Given that there wasn't an actor by the name of Zachary Levi that exists in this universe, it was nostalgic for me to see Shazam again.
What?
Chuck asked in confusion, his lips curled up as he saw my smiling face.
Nothing. I'm just looking forward to your performance.
I chuckled before I turned to Selena and Taylor. Sighing inwardly, I prepared myself to meet my ex-friends with benefit after the whole incident happened. Hey! I greeted Taylor, who was wearing her cheerleader uniform. Then, I glanced at Selena, checking if there were any side effects from the medicine I gave her. There were no signs of bloated hands and legs, and her eyes were normal.
After checking that, I turned to Taylor again.
However, she had a face full of disbelief, which confused me.
I thought you were supposed to be in Chicago. Did you fly here to join the party? I asked with a casual manner, which seemed to ignite a fuse inside her, and she exploded. Join the party? She enunciated menacingly. Crossing her arms together, she got up close to me. Do you really think I'll fly over 1,700 miles just to join a party? Well, I inhaled a sharp breath and muttered, this is awkward. I looked at Selena jokingly, which prompted her to giggle. Taylor glared at Selena and then me. You must be disappointed that I come, huh? Otherwise you could shoot your shot at my best friend. Selena chuckled wryly and tried to mediate. There's no way he's going to do that. By the way, Edward, why have you taken off your Batman costume? Oh. That thing is made of latex, so it's sealing the sweats and all. I took it off and took a shower. I replied casually. A cold shower, I guess? Considering you didn't get any yet. Taylor mocked. I ignored her words and said, by the way, you look cute with your short hair. Probably wasn't expecting the sudden compliment. Taylor's face froze and she touched her hair. She almost smiled before glaring at me angrily again. Don't change the subject. You checked her out. Why would I want to take a shot at Selena? I kissed her the day before. I already know what that feels like. I joked. What? Taylor exclaimed with a high-pitched voice. Selena looked at her worriedly and said, for the filming. The Wizard's show. The Latina turned to me angrily and asked, why are you purposely making her angrier? I tried to make her calmer but she won't take it. So, I trailed off, speaking in a playful manner. Also, it's my right as an ex-boyfriend. I can piss her off anytime I want. Taylor shot a glare at me before taking a deep breath to calm herself down. Selena. You said you want to talk with that dude. Go talk to him. Which dude? Selena was confused, but Taylor pushed her away. Selena was in disbelief and retorted, you know I didn't hang out with my cast friends because of you. You can do that now. However, Taylor didn't even look at her as she was saying that. I muttered, that was cold. Anyway, how are you? She asked with a slight head tilt, with a gaze of pitying. What's with that look? Do you think I'll be depressed after you are gone? I muttered with disbelief. Yeah, 'cause you have a lot of girls to be your pocket pussy to try and replace me? Hiding her sarcasm behind a kind smile, her sentence shocked me inwardly. Maintaining a poker face, I shrugged and said, you made me kinda want to start doing that tonight. Let's see, who shall I do today? With a slight emph, she snapped, maybe Selena since you're keen on checking out her body in front of me. Oh, thank you for the suggestion. It takes loads of things out of my mind since there's a lot of girls here that came specifically for that. Don't flatter yourself. You're not that hot. I am that hot. You're not. You're barely mediocre. If I was that, and I'm adamant on the hot part, bitches love guys like me. Tall and has money. You're still not hot, and you're not a trophy. Besides, that only happens in movies. Trophy fuck is real. Hot guys are targeted by those thirsty bitches all the time. And I am hot. Luckily our argument didn't really grab the attention of anyone else at the party, otherwise I was sure people would start looking at us weirdly. It didn't take very long before Taylor huffed away back to Selena while I went to talk with Maggie. Wait. You already changed? Maggie asked with disbelief as she saw me wearing my normal clothes. Yeah, it's not Halloween anymore. I replied. For some reason, I'm feeling extra sleepy now too. I muttered as I yawned. Vanessa looked at me and said, great. So I can take this thing off. Bending slightly to grab the hem of her dress, Vanessa pulled it over her head, taking off the white ghost dress and the black wig at the same time. Then, she fixed her skirt and the blouse she has underneath, before fixing her tied-up hair too. Wait. You have an outfit underneath? Maggie looked at Vanessa with disbelief. Then, she looked at herself wearing the tight Spider-Man outfit. Well, now I look silly. Don't be.
Silly is your middle name. Before I could finish, Skylar Samuel, the young actress who kissed me before after my song, approached me. Hey! Edward, I have a question. She lightly touched my arm as she stood in front of me, in a very close distance. What's your horoscope sign? Well, what do you think I am? I asked back with a chuckle. Well, I don't believe in the whole astrology bullshit, but if I found a pretty girl who does, I wouldn't try to put her down. Besides, if I found her horoscope sign, I just needed to pair it off with one compatible with it to hit, but I digress. She smiled and said, you look like Leo. You're cute, funny, charismatic. I pretended I was shocked and said, how did you know that? She was excited and basically was jumping as she said, really? I got that right? Wow, we're really meant to be together. I'm a Sagittarius. I'm sorry, I'm so happy. Really? I don't believe you. You might be just saying that to trick me into bed. I joked. She smiled and blurted out, I'm really not. But if you want, I can prove it to you. Her eyes widened and her face blushed as she said that. I smiled at her, but then, I shuddered as I could sense I was being gazed at by a predator. I turned only to see Taylor standing a few meters away. He lied. He's not a Leo. He's an Aries. She exposed me. Maybe she thought that it would make Skylar back away from me, but instead, Skylar said, oh, it's fine then. Aries is still compatible with Sagittarius. Taylor. Me. Chapter 250, Halloween Party, Part 7, Final. General POV. Anger in her eyes, Taylor glared at Edward and Skylar from the side of the room. Both of them were talking and giggling with each other, and it irked Taylor. Selena carefully walked towards Taylor, with a plate of food in her hand. Before she could munch her snacks, Taylor asked, can you believe that guy? He's purposely doing this to make me angry. Fidgety and irritated, Taylor's glare stopped Selena from biting her churros dipped with chocolate and said, don't look at me. You did it to yourself by continuously fighting with him. I thought you wanted to make up, I do want to make up with him. Taylor said, calming herself down a bit as she complained to Selena, but when I see his stupid face, I can't help myself. She stole a glance at Edward and whispered to herself, his stupid, cute face. The scene in front of her filled her with incredible jealousy and regret, together with longingness for her to be the one standing by his side. What was that? Selena asked doubtfully. Nothing. Taylor replied, pretending everything was fine. Then, she scolded Selena, this all won't happen if you didn't bring that slut in here. Selena saw Edward and Skylar and said, well, I know that she has a huge crush on Edward, but I didn't think that he would entertain her. He's not really flirting with me, or anyone else before today. What is it? Taylor asked Selena impatiently. Selena smiled wryly and said, well, don't get angry at me for this. Just say it. Well, I think he's flirting over there because of you. Selena said, startling Taylor. She continued anxiously before Taylor could react, and my justification is this, he doesn't flirt with anyone after you guys break up, but right now, he's flirting? So meeting you today may have given him the closure he needed to move on. Ouch. Taylor pinched Selena's bicep, stopping her. Why do you do that for? Selena whined. Because you keep talking nonsense? Moving on? Boys don't move on that quickly from me. Taylor glared at Edward, causing him to shudder. Selena scoffed and whispered, "'Cause surviving you give them PTSD," she stopped as Taylor was turning to her again. Sensing the hostility gazing at him, Edward wrapped his arm around Skylar's waist and led her to the couch, moving further away from Taylor. In the meantime, the more Selena ate the chocolate, the more it affected her. "Stop looking at him like you want to murder him," Selena scolded Taylor. Then she mocked, "You keep asking yourself why he didn't want you back, maybe he's just afraid of his safety." Taylor gasped in disbelief, "I didn't glare at him that much." "You did all the time since you got here. No wonder you drove him off to the arm of another woman." Selena scolded again. Taylor's mouth was agape, and her shock deepened when Selena said, now that he finally has closure, he will go to bed with basically anyone who can comfort him. Will you please hold the plate for me? I'm going to talk to him. Where do you think you're going? Taylor grabbed Selena's arm before she could move away. All right, I get what you're saying. Taylor grumbled and hugged Selena's arm tight. I should approach him more casually is what you're saying. Less that resentment stuff. I'm saying that I want to go get some. But sure, that too. Selena replied casually. Taylor rolled her eyes with disbelief before she chuckled. You know, when you're being bitchy like this, I feel really close to you. Just a little bit closer and you can actually cop a feel. Unless you want to take over Edward's role tonight, you should let me go. Taylor released Selena with a chuckle and said, any suggestions on what I should do now? Maybe try to create some small talk with him? Ask him for some advice for the song you made to get him back? If that's too embarrassing. No, I'll do that. Taylor agreed instantly. Then, she got curious. If I said it was too embarrassing, what are you going to suggest next? Just pounce on him. Selena replied. I know I would. Taylor was speechless after that. Edward POV. You worked on a thriller movie recently, am I right? I asked Skylar. She nodded while nibbling on some churros. Yes. With Celia Ward and Dylan Welsh. There's also Penn Badgley, and also Amber Heard. It wasn't a very good movie though. Oh, why did you say that? I asked with a comforting smile. She grinned and whispered, it's a $20 million movie, but it made less than $12 million at the box office. The director is pissed. But I'm sure he's sleeping with Amber, so he wasn't that pissed. He basically made her wear only swimsuits for the entire film. Well, he better get ready for a boxing match every night. Maybe a doggy bag in the morning too. I replied. She was confused, then she laughed as she thought I had misunderstood something. What? Oh, Amber is an actress, not a dog. He doesn't need a doggy bag to pick up her shit. What are you thinking about? Ah, is that so? I'm quite embarrassed then. I smiled charmingly, which made her blush and brush her hair behind her ear. Do you have a bedroom here? She asked suddenly. Yeah, on the second floor. Why? I replied with some confusion. Can I see it? I kept wondering what a teenage celebrity boy's room looked like. She said while giggling. I think it's just an excuse to get me alone with you. I flirted back. She touched my shirt and said while poking my chest, will that be so wrong? Suddenly, Taylor appeared again, interrupting the conversation. Sorry to steal him away from you, I just need to talk to him. I'll give him back when I'm done. She grabbed my arm and pulled me away to the other side of the room. Skylar reached out her hand to stop me, but was blocked by Selena. Sorry. It's better for you if I help make it happen. Otherwise I'm not sure if your car brake will be working when you gotta go home today. Selena said to Skylar, much to the girl's confusion. Are you already ready for round 2? I still haven't mentally prepared myself yet. I joked as I stood face to face with Taylor. She rolled her eyes and said, all right. We're not that dysfunctional. I think we can get through one conversation without fighting with each other. Although doubtful, I decided to listen to her. All right then. What do you want to talk about? Us. She replied curtly while crossing her arms together. Oh boy, so we are going to fight. I exclaimed jokingly. Not yet, but keep it up. See what happens. She warned me. I will keep it up. Part of me wants to test your patience too, albeit I think it's only paper thin. Stop messing around. I need to say something important. She stopped me. I looked at her seriously, but the cat got her tongue, and she was struggling to say her next sentence. So, nothing important then. I mocked. She suddenly said, I need a massage. I fell in disbelief. What? Flabbergasted, Taylor tried to explain, a massage.
You told me that, it's a benefit of being your employee. Even if we had broken up, I still can get the massage. You have your own integrity and ethics, you won't ignore your responsibility just because we can't do it anymore, am I right? Sure. I replied quizzically. Taylor turned to the side and whispered, damn it. Then, she turned towards me again. I have a feeling that's not what you wanted to say, but I'll just play along for now. I teased her. She smiled and giggled before playing along, no. I do need a massage. I'm tired from all of the tours. Knocking on her shoulder, she pretended to be exhausted inside in front of me. I chuckled and said, all right. But you're going to need to keep your clothes on. Hey! I'll decide whether to keep it on or off. She joked. Suddenly, we fell into silence. Taylor looked me in the eye and said with a breathy voice, I miss this. All right, don't be corny. I shut her down quickly. Baffled, her shoulders dropped and she became slightly agitated. Can you let me finish first? What's else to say? I'd rather we learn to keep our boundaries with each other. You know, keep things professional. Profesh? She imitated me mockingly. Are you even serious right now? Deadly. I replied. It's the only logical course of action. I channeled my inner Spock. She rolled her eyes and said, if I don't want to do that? Maybe we need more time apart then. Because I really think that's the correct path we should take for the time being. I replied. She was silent for a while. I grabbed a cup of drink from the waiter walking around, and drank it. All right then. We can keep it, profesh, she said, her eyes suddenly glittered. I was a bit on guard as I could sense she didn't really mean what she was saying, but I agreed with her regardless, okay then. So, as one singer to another, I have a new song I just wrote, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. She asked while slightly swaying her body. We can go to your room, she suddenly saw the stage nearby and pointed her finger at the guitar, or I can just sing it here, right in front of everyone. I mean, if you're confident, just go for it. I said with a playful smile. Taylor suddenly stopped walking and placed her hand on her chest, on second thought. I can't play it with me wearing this outfit. I thought she was going to stop, but she said, I'm going to change for a bit. Can I borrow your room? Taken aback, I replied with disbelief, sure. General POV. Agent Casey was bartending and serving drinks to the model by the bar when Agent Smith came by to sit in front of him. A Vesper martini please. He ordered. Casey scoffed but he obliged to the order. Shortly after, he placed a glass of the drink on the tabletop and slid it to the agent. Agent Smith drank the martini calmly, and as he finished his drink, he placed the glass back on the table and said, Are you coming with me the easy way, or the hard way? It's more of a no way. Casey replied tauntingly. Too bad. I kinda don't want to create havoc in his party. I'd already slighted him enough. Agent Smith said disappointingly. Casey gripped a knife nearby him tightly, but then, he saw Edward moving with Taylor to the stage. As she picked up a guitar and sat in front of Edward, Casey knew that it wasn't time yet for him to act. Well, I'm in the same predicament as you are, so let's give him one last moment to enjoy. Casey said calmly as he placed another drink in front of Agent Smith. Agent Smith nodded in understanding and said nothing as he glanced at Taylor and Edward. Most of the partygoers were dancing and enjoying the pool, therefore there weren't a lot of people near the stage. Taylor also wasn't using the microphone, so she only attracted the attention of the people close by. Maggie and Vanessa, with Ashley Tisdale, Selena and Skylar, Kyle and his girlfriend, Brenda Song, Jake T. Austin, and David Henry watching the show from a distance. Now that I'm holding a guitar, I am quite embarrassed. Taylor muttered, playing her innocent girl persona. Edward chuckled with disbelief, and Taylor smiled as she saw that. Well, I've been writing a song based on my life's experience, and I'd love to hear your thoughts before I go ahead and release it. Sweet. So no copyright yet? Anyone can steal it? Jake cracked a joke. Edward looked at him and replied, "Sure, you can try. But if you succeed, then do realize you have made a very terrifying enemy. One with some CIA agents owing favors to him. God. I'm not doing that anymore," Jake said with horror, and the people watching laughed. Taylor shot a glare at Jake as he stole the limelight away from her, and Edward looked at her with fascination as he caught it. He chuckled and joked, "Go on, Taylor. I'm sure you can surprise me. If you're not, then I might have to reconsider our contracts." "Oh, there's no way that's going to happen," she said with a slight smug smile. Song. Olivia O'Brien, Hate You Love You. Acoustic guitar cover. This is a more accurate depiction of the singing. Olivia O'Brien, Hate You Love You acoustic cover by Urine. She lightly strummed the guitar to create the mood, and people immediately were absorbed in the show. More people turned their heads to watch it as it happened, some even taking out their phone to record it, especially those who were shipping Edward and Taylor together. Edward was shocked inwardly, but he kept a calm face at the surface. A sense of excitement boiled up inside of him as he realized the song she was singing. Taylor focused on the guitar as she started to sing, feeling nervous in case she would mess up the notes. Despite having created the song, she didn't have much practice playing it in front of everyone.
Feeling used, but I'm still missing you, and I can't see the end of this. Just wanna feel a kiss. I guess my lips.
Brenda's song squealed in excitement before covering her mouth to stop herself from disturbing the song.
Now all this time is passing by, but I still can't seem to tell you why. It hurts me every time I see you. Realize how much I need you.
Taylor gazed straight at Edward as she sang the chorus,
I hate you, I love you, I hate that I love you. Don't want to, but I can't prove nobody else above you.
The memory of the night they ended their relationship surfaced in her memory. And then it morphed into the sight of him with another girl at the party today. Her tone carried a hint of resentment as she sang, I
hate you, I love you, I hate that I want you. You want her, you need her, and I'll never be her.
Selena widened her eyes and muttered, "Wait, did she change the lyric?" Taylor lost herself in the memories as she sang, What
about all the times you would pick me up and we just drive around until we find a place to stay and was the day away. We do nothing but it was okay with me. You say it's not good to spend all my time thinking about you so late at night, but I can't stop, want to start it like I never lived. Thoughts coming and I just wanna hold your hand, hold your breath. I'm going under, not coming up till this night is over, till this night is over.
Edward and Taylor shared a look, and it made the audience giggled. However, Edward turned to Selena immediately after Taylor went to focus back on her guitar and mouthed, "What's that supposed to mean?" Selena mouthed, "I also don't know." Oblivious, Taylor continued singing the chorus, I
hate you, I love you, I hate that I love you. Don't want to, but I can't put nobody else above you.
Taylor paused briefly and slowed down the tempo of the song. She gazed directly at Edward as she sang.
All along I watch you watch her, like she's the only girl you've ever seen.
Her resentful tone reverberated throughout the room. Edward held his chin as he gazed on her deeply, which made her heart start beating faster.
Yeah, you never did. You don't give a damn about me.
She sang as if she was accusing him.
Yeah, all along I watch you watch her. She's the only thing you've ever seen. above you. I hate you, I love you. I hate that I want you. You want her, you need her, and I'll never be her.
Slowly, the guitar strumming came to a stop. The crowd gave her quite an applause, but she was only looking straight in front of her, waiting for his attention. Edward's face was stoic at first, making her more nervous. But then he chuckled and said, "That's amazing." Taylor's face lit up, and she urged, "Anne." Suddenly, a loud glass-shattering sound pierced through the air, causing Taylor and Edward to whip their heads towards the commotion. The entire party came to a halt and everyone went to look at the source. In the corner of the dimly lit venue, several people were engaged in a heated altercation. Drinks had been knocked over, and shards of broken glass littered the floor as the combatants skillfully and artfully fought with each other. The crowd around them quickly parted, creating a circle as the fight escalated. Sarah grabbed a vase and threw it towards the glass wall near the balcony, scaring everyone there. "Move!" She yelled to the others before grabbing Chuck with her, while giving him a bag at the same time. Taylor's eyes widened in shock, and she instinctively reached out to grip Edward's arm. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. Edward's brow furrowed as he surveyed the scene unfolding before them. He hid his secret smile as he enjoyed the fight. Without a word, he gently pulled Taylor closer, positioning himself to shield her from any potential danger. Touched by Edward's action, Taylor grabbed his body tighter. Selena joined in too, much to Taylor's dislike. Then, Vanessa and Maggie went to hide behind Edward too, making Taylor fall in disbelief. No, don't," David Henry shouted as he saw what Sarah and Chuck wanted to do. As Sarah was saving Chuck of the non-combatant, the agent she was kicking fell onto the sound system, breaking it. Casey's and Agent Smith's fight also wrecked the bar. "Go now," Casey told Sarah and Chuck. "What about you?" Chuck asked with concern. "I'll cover your exit," Casey said. "I'm afraid I can't let that happen." Agent Smith was slowly standing up while wiping the blood off his mouth when suddenly he was tackled from out of nowhere. "What the fuck?" Edward cursed. Jacob, who had snuck out of his house to come back to the party in order to protect his best friend, tackled Agent Smith from behind. "You're messing with ED. You're messing with me." Jacob growled at the agent before he glared at Casey. "Shit." Casey cursed, not because he felt threatened with Jacob, but he knew that he shouldn't touch Edward's friends under any circumstances. He turned and ran to the broken window wall, ignoring the agents who wanted to capture him, and jumped out of the balcony with Sarah and Chuck. "Jacob, stop." Edward held Jacob back by grabbing his shirt, choking him at the same time before he could lunge at Casey. Chuck yelled fearfully as he was grabbed by Sarah, but then, she pulled the cord on Chuck's bag, turning it into a glider, also saving them from the cliff. Although the house was on a cliff by the ocean, if someone jumped down, they would be dead because there were only rocks below that. Casey stole Edward's Batman gauntlet and shot a wire to the balcony after he jumped off it, and skillfully roped down the cliff. Agent Smith walked towards the balcony slowly and stared at the spies with an eagle eye. The altercation stopped after the 3 spies were gone, and the entire partygoers were befuddled. "Shit." Edward walked on top of the broken glasses and went to address the crowd. "Sorry everyone. It seemed that some people had too much to drink. Regretfully, the party is now over. I won't kick you out or anything, but you all should leave on your own. Good night everyone." "Ah!" the crowd exclaimed in disappointment. "Who the fuck are those guys?" Jake muttered angrily, "Making trouble on the night I can finally see Brenda naked." "Oh, that was never happening, honey." Brenda admonished Jake while holding her hand towards him to set boundaries. People started leaving the house in batches after the incident, with only some close friends staying behind. Jake T. Austin posted a video on his Insta about the fight, and people online were clamoring about it. "Oh my god, it was so insane." The second after Taylor finished singing, those idiots started breaking things around the house. "We have to go home now, barely after 1 a.m. It sucks. I'm going to sue those guys if I know who they are."
Jake complained to his Instagram followers. Likes, 12,440 comments, 1222. At Lily, oh my god, is Edward alright? At Janie, Taylor sang a new song? Did she serenade Edward? LOL. Jake didn't have many followers before, but his followers shot up after the whole incident. TMZ Celebrity News also reported the incident in their news sites, which made the matter getting blown up. Edward POV. After seeing the destruction in my house, I wasn't annoyed because I was the one who made it happen. I used one of the favors I had with the 3 agents to ask them to crash the party. And they did perfectly. Although I would send the bills to General Beckman, their supervising general, after this. Agent Page and Agent Smith were obediently sweeping the glass off the floor as I sat alone on the stairs, watching them. I knew that they also had their orders, therefore I didn't punish them badly. I forgave Chuck and the rest, so why not forgive them too? Like I said before, they were just foot soldiers. Wait. There's only a cup worth of chocolate? I muttered with disbelief after seeing the chocolate fountain basically being licked clean after I went to freeze some of the chocolates to experiment on. Maggie walked towards me tearily and turned her back against me. Ed. The zipper is gone. I can't take off the suit. I almost burst into laughter if it wasn't for her almost crying expression. Well, the suit cost me 10 grand. If I need to cut it open, then I'll have to add that to your total debt. Please don't. Maggie grabbed my arm, begging me as she flailed it around. The suits cost me only $50, so I was only messing around with her. Only Maggie, Selena, and Taylor were left behind in my house after the crowd left. Vanessa went to catch up with Ashley, and the college girls were sent home with a driver's service I rented out. Jacob was also still at the party, but he insisted on staying guard by the balcony in case the spies came back. Jacob. Grab a blanket or something, I said to him as I walked with Maggie back to my bedroom. I'll be fine. I have my hot cocoa, he said as he sipped a hot drink. His nose was red, but he still insisted that he wasn't feeling cold. I shrugged and went to help Maggie get out of the suit. I grabbed a pair of scissors before cutting the suit from Maggie. She kept insisting, "Be careful. Don't cut my hair." "I'm not going to cut your hair," I replied irritatedly. She kept squirming around, which made me miss my cut. "My hair!" she cried out. I looked at her with disbelief and said, "I'm not even close with your hair. Just calm down and let me do this." She was still squirming, so I grabbed her shoulder and cut the suit's zipper in one go. Her back was exposed, and she turned towards me angrily. "I can feel you touching my hair." "With my hand. I swear to God, I'll cut your hair just for fun now," I retorted back to her. She took off her suit angrily, and balled it all up before throwing it at me. "Here's your suit back, you jerk." Maggie. You inconsiderate jackass. Maggie. You demon money grubber. I refuse to pay you 10 grand for the suit. Maggie. I yelled at her, prompting her to stop. I looked at her mischievously and said, "You realize you're naked, right?" It seemed that she decided to go commando while wearing the suit. Maggie looked down on her bare naked body, before yelping and covering her boobs immediately. "Pervert. Go die." "Oh, like you didn't enjoy exposing yourself, you porn star? There's some robe in my closet. You can wear them for now. But be careful not to damage it too. They cost 20 grand. Ugh. At least cover your eyes while I'm going to wear it," she said as she gestured at me frantically to look away. I sighed and walked out of the room, and accidentally bumped into Taylor as I walked out the door. With a flustered, angry face, Taylor said seethingly, "You just heard the song I wrote for you, and now you're in bed with another girl?" "You. That's my cousin." I tried to explain, but Taylor grabbed my head and kissed me heavily. "I hate you so much," she said before she dragged me into an empty room. She slammed the door behind us after we walked in. Then, she pressed her lips onto mine.
I grabbed her shoulders and pushed her away. A bit taken aback, Taylor's eyes shook. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I asked angrily. "It's over between us." "I want to ask you the same thing," Taylor shouted back. "What the hell is wrong with you? I'm basically throwing myself to you today, and you act like I'm a disgusting piece of trash." Taken aback, I hesitated. "That's not." "What? What is not it? I literally made a song for you." She yelled at me before grabbing a pillow and hit me with it. "Stop messing around with me and toying with my feelings." I snapped and yelled at her with gritted teeth, "I didn't." I looked into her eyes, pointed my finger at her and said sternly, "You did that all by yourself. So stop blaming me for it. It's over for us." Taylor was speechless after that. Then, her expression slowly faltered. "Why are you yelling at me?" She started to cry timidly. "Oh, for fuck's sake." I had to comfort her for a bit before she stopped crying. "Are you good now?" I asked as I rubbed her back while we were sitting at the edge of the bed. She nodded and suddenly said, "Prove it." "Prove what?" I was confused. "Prove that you're already over me," Taylor said while patting the mattress behind us hintingly. "Then, I'll stop trying to win you back." "All right then. If it can help you move on," I said before grabbing her neck and kissing her. She scratched my arm with her nail, leaving its trail on my skin. It quickly became an animalistic, no romance entanglement, without an ounce of affection in it. After a while, Taylor huffed and puffed, her hair disheveled. Both of us were lying underneath the blanket, looking upwards side by side. She bit her lower lip as she looked at me angrily. "You fucking bastard," she cursed before she sat upward. She placed her pillow on my face and yelled, "Die." It was only for a short while before she got up and walked to the door after wearing her clothes back. "You're leaving?" I asked her. "You'd like that, don't you?" she asked tauntingly. "Well, if you want to leave, then I'll call a driver for you." Gasping offendedly, she picked up a tissue box and threw it at me. "You stupid idiot." She probably wanted me to send her myself, or show that I still care, but again, I was too exhausted to give her some hope. I grabbed the tissue box before it could hit me and laid back down on the bed as Taylor made herself scarce. Or rather, she couldn't bear to look at my stupid face anymore. Not without it turning into an assault case. I could hear her shout outside the door, calling for Selena before she huffed away. Then, I heard a few more shattering sounds in the living room, but I ignored it and went to sleep. That wraps up this part of What If Karmic Gacha System in Modern Family World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Quick reminder. The series What If Transmigrated as Minato Namikaze is now on hold, since we're caught up with the author. Along with that, the series What If Fishing System in Food Wars World will be going on hold soon, since we're nearly caught up with the author there as well. So now, I need your help picking the next 2 projects for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these 3 fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if Transmigrated and taking over Ichigo's body? What if martial artist Reborn is Kenichi Shirahama? Please vote in the poll and let me know which stories you'd like to see next. I'll take the top 2 picks and start working on those series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.